Hi, this is Beast with Joe, and you're listening to Joe Mountford, where we focus on mental health for performance. This is the third in our series where we focus on the parent's role in supporting their elite person. Subscribe now to stay connected and to hear more in the series. Today, I have the honor and privilege to chat to Kim Lewthwaite, who is mother to professional golfer Lejan Lewthwaite. Lejan is a professional golfer on the Sunshine Ladies and Ladies European Tour. She turned professional in 2016 after she graduated at Texas State University on a golf scholarship. She has since been playing in various tournaments around the world and has won over 4 professional tournaments so far. Lejan grew up playing multiple sports at provincial and international levels, such as tennis, hockey, and sailing. She decided that she wanted to play sport for a living, and so she took up golf seriously at the age of 17. Her parents, Allan and Kim, and 2 sisters, Jamie and Skylar, have always supported her in her dream to become a successful professional athlete. Lejan is part of our player wellness program and is an invaluable member of the program. Welcome, Kim. It's so lovely to chat to you, and I would love to focus on you as the parent who's been walking this path with Lejan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I look forward to chatting.
I am chatting to Kim from, she's in London, am I right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Just outside, southeast of London, so yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for dedicating your time to us. And I'm going to start by asking you, I know Lejan, I've been working with her, and she's the most amazing, dedicated human and lovely person. But I want to ask you, as a family, when Lejan decided to turn professional at 17, how did your life change? As in, did you always know she was heading in the professional direction, or what changed for you when you realized that was going to be her choice? Like, what did you have to do? How did the family respond?
Well, it wasn't really something new, because Lejan had told me from a very young age that she said, I'm not going to get a job like you do, like you have, Mom. I don't want a job like that. I'm going to play sport for a living. That's what I'm going to do. And she actually said that just from quite a young child. So I always knew it was kind of what she wanted to do and what she was going to lead towards. And actually she even started high school, she'd said she wants to play sport and she wants to go overseas and study and play sport. And, it's exactly what she did. She put it out there. She said that's what she wants to do. And she's always been a very focused person, and she made it happen, and I've always believed with all of my girls, if they want to do something, they must believe in themselves and go after what they want to do. Don't let anybody tell them that they can't do it. If they want to do something and they work hard enough, obviously there's some talent that needs to be involved in that, but pretty much to go after what they want. And that's what
Kim,
she did.
So, she was obviously very talented in several different sports, as you mentioned earlier. Was there anything in her that you could distinguish between either from your girls, because you've got 3, or other people's children? Like, how was she different? And when I ask that, I mean dedicated, stayed after practice. Like, what did she do differently that gave her the edge?
Do you know what I think? That with Lejan, she didn't wait for things to happen for her. She knew that's what she wanted to do, and she went after it. And I believe that's so important. She decided she wanted to get a golf scholarship, and she wanted to go and study in the States. And she didn't say, "Oh, well, how am I going to do that?" Somebody needs to recognize me. She actually went online. She investigated different universities, found out who the golf director was. She emailed them personally. That's what she did. She didn't use an agent or anybody else. She just did it on her own ability.
Okay.
She did the investigation. She sent off all of her emails, and she just believed that it's almost like a child's belief in something. As adults, we tend to think, oh, well, maybe we can't, maybe we shouldn't, maybe she didn't have that. She was focused. She knew what she wanted to do, and she sent out her emails. She sent, her golfing CV that she had at such a young age, and she sent it all out herself. And she got responses from that, and then hence she went to go and study.
Okay, yeah, she's amazing like that. Because when I first met her, I just realized that she was very disciplined. She was very disciplined. She was very structured.
Very much
she
so.
plans.
Yeah,
she plans.
Yeah. I do believe that sometimes that is in a child's just sometimes the way they are. I mean, even as a child, Lejan, growing up, she was very disciplined. Her room was always very tidy. Her cupboards were always very neat. Everything in order. All the t-shirts together. All the, everything had its place. I mean, even as she played sport, if she played tennis, when she got home, she would wipe down her racket. She would clean her shoes. She's just always been a very disciplined person. Not everybody's like that, and there's still very successful people who aren't like that. But I think that's always been a good thing for Lejan, to be so disciplined and be so focused. And I think that has helped her to get where she is in her career today. And
I know you are very supportive of her, and you're her solid rock human. How do you manage your stress when the pressure's on for her? So let's not think recently, because I know you've all been scattered around the world a little bit.
Yes,
but
yeah.
Let's take it back when she was a bit younger, and maybe you were, because you sent me a beautiful photo of you caddying for her, etc. So when the pressure was on, and if things were going wrong, how did you manage your emotions?
I think maybe as a parent, you kind of put your own emotions to one side a little bit and focus on what they're going through. And I think that sort of was good for me, because then I didn't focus on my emotions as such. I could focus on hers and trying to say, yes, okay, well, look, things aren't going great. Maybe you didn't have a great round, but what can we take out of the round that did work? Maybe you were struggling with your putting in the last round, and look, you putted great this round, but your driving wasn't great. Or always try and find the positives, and say, for me, I would say, Lejan, the weather's played a big factor. It was very windy out there, and a lot of the players struggled with that. And there would be times where she would get a bit annoyed with me. She would say, don't make excuses for me, Mom. It's not the weather. It's not this. Don't make excuses. I didn't play well enough. I said, okay, sure. Let's not make excuses, but let's take the things that did work. Let's look at the positive things that did go right. And yes, those positive things might not have given you the results that you wanted, but you need to focus on those. That's always something that I've tried to do.
And sometimes it's okay just to be mom, right?
Absolutely. No, for sure. Absolutely. It's okay to just be mom, and, not necessarily in front of her when she's had a bad round or had a disappointment. You could go off and have a few tears of your own as a mom, and allow her to do that. So there'll be times when she's also had disappointments and tears in her rounds or whatever sport that she was played, even when she did sailing. And I remember she was about 12 years old, where she was sailing in a regatta to possibly sail in the World Championships. And she missed out on that by one shot, not one shot, by one length. And she ended up going to the European Championships and not the Worlds. And I remember this little child coming on this small little boat, and it was at sea. It was in Portugal. It was on the sea. They come in the harbour, and I could see the disappointment on her face from so far away. And it's also important to allow them to feel that emotion of disappointment, and let them be sad that they didn't get the result they wanted to, but then not to sit in that too long, not to wallow in that disappointment as such. Allow it, have the tears, have the frustrations, throw something if you need to, but then it's done. Then it's done.
Give it closure.
And then let's try and carry on to how we can make the next event or the next tournament, or how we can make that better, or just not necessarily the tournament. It's not always about the game, about the next day, what you can bring out of the next day and what's good about that sort of thing.
Kim, I think
try and look for the
such
good in the
wise
situation.
It's such wise words, because disappointment and loss is part of the journey, isn't
Absolutely.
it? So it's learning the life skill of accepting that uncomfortable
Yes.
feeling,
and
refocusing,
Sure.
refocusing your goals.
And
And also,
and
as
it's
you
okay
said,
to
giving
have
it
those
time
feelings.
limit.
Yeah, it's okay to have those negative feelings and to have those tears, and you can't change it. That's going to happen in life. It's going to happen in life no matter what happens. You're going to have those moments, but it's how you choose to carry on the next day. You have to do that, especially I think with golf. Golf is a tough one because each new tournament is and each round it's not like, I think if you're playing a team sport kind of thing, you may play the season and then they might look at, are you going to make the grade for the team as such. Whereas with golf, it's every single tournament. This week, am I going to make the cut? And if I don't, there's a disappointment there. And then it's the next week, am I going to make the cut? And yes, I make the cut, and that's great. So it's a constant up and down of emotions, specifically in golf. I mean, I relate to golf because that's obviously what Lejan does. But it can be a very much an emotional roller coaster. Very much.
And so. I'm glad you brought that up, because it is the emotional coaster. There's more losses than there are wins.
Absolutely.
And so it's the emotional roller coaster of that. There's the emotional roller coaster of the stress of making that cut, because if you don't make the cut, you don't earn anything. So that means that you've just got expenses behind you. So there's all of that. Are you able to, as a parent, disconnect from her actual reality stress and maybe just be a sounding board? Are you able to be that for her? Or what advice would you give to other parents out there whose children are going through similar things?
Is to actually let them know that it's okay if you didn't make the cut. I've seen, I know that from a financial point of view, and it may affect them, but a lot of times the disappointment is, I think, and I see that with Lejan, her disappointments are because she was not successful, or it's not just about the monetary value, and to tell them that it's okay. And I'll often use the analogy of other players. I mean, some of the top players in the world. So you know what? They went out last week, they didn't make the cut. They went out the following week, they either won the tournament or they were in the top 10. And I said, there's so many players who are playing golf every single week around the world, and there's so many of them are not making the cut. And that doesn't mean to say that they're unsuccessful. It's part of the journey. And it's okay. It's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to be down, but this is the journey that you're on. And, if I can refer to one thing, I remember one of Lejan's first coaches was Gavin Levinson at Glendower. And when Lejan said she wanted to play golf and become a professional golfer, he asked, I was with her, and he said, what is the hardest thing about this career that you're choosing? What is the most difficult? And I said, no, it's a very emotional sport, and it's lots of disappointments, and it's up and down. And he said, no, that it's not. He said, I'm telling you now, it's the lifestyle. You are living out of a suitcase, and you are traveling for 95% of your life. And it's very true. You don't realize that she travels a lot, and she gets to go all over these wonderful places in the world, and she has a wonderful time doing that. But it's also her job. It's also work. And so I agreed with him, and I still agree with him there. But I also say that the whole emotional side of the game as well it's tough. It's not easy. It's not easy, There's highs, there's wonderful highs, and there's also lows. And the lows are actually part of it. They're part of it. You need to be prepared that's just part of what you do,
And it's what you do in those lows,
Exactly.
It's what you do in those lows. I mean, I know she's amazing. Like in time off, she'll go surfing and mountain biking and do other things that are not golf related, which is fantastic.
Sure.
That you speak about the travel of the golfing world and the emotional journey of that, and possibly the loneliness that goes with it. And so if you were to look at sacrifices as a family that comes with a professional family member, so it would be like time away from home. I mean, even her relationships, trying to maintain a relationship is not that easy because she's not around much.
It's not. Well, that's it. I mean, look, Lejan is very good, I must say, from we have the internet and we have WhatsApp. I mean, there's very few days doesn't matter where Lejan is traveling in the world. There's very few days. There's maybe 1 or 2 days that I can count on my hand that we don't speak every day. And that's because there's a WhatsApp message, or she'll send me photographs of where she is and what she's experiencing. So as a mom, and I share that with her sisters as well, we get to experience what she's experienced through her. She's very good at that. And I think that is, if I could encourage players to do that, players who travel, is to draw your family into what you're doing. Send them photographs of where you are. Tell them about your experiences. I mean, I know I said that Lejan travels, and most of the time it's golf, and it's focused, and she's got a job to do. But she will try and take maybe one day after the tournament, go and do something. You know, I mean, you're not a tourist, so you don't always have funds to go and do all the touristy things. But there's many things that you can do for free, or places you can go and visit in the countries and places that you go to. She will go and do those things and send photographs, because then it draws your family into your life, what you're doing, and it maybe makes it a little bit less lonely for them, because your family miss you a lot. But they also get to share your journey. And that's what I always say to Journey.
I think the support network that you offer her is absolutely invaluable. She knows she's got you and her sisters at the end of her phone, and she knows she's got you to go back to. You know, as I think I agree. I think that the life of a golfer looks very glamorous on TV. In reality,
but it's not. In reality, it's
tough.
It can be glamorous. I mean, I say Lejan has got to go to some wonderful places. I've been very fortunate enough to. I mean, I don't travel with her all the time by any means at all. But on the odd occasion, I do maybe get to go and see her play in 1 or 2 places. And being here on this side of the world now, it's a little bit easier if she's in Europe. So although I cannot do it all the time, I will try once or twice a year to get out to wherever she is and go and experience that with her. So she's been to amazing, so the kid travel is tough, but she's been to the most amazing places in the world, met some of the most amazing people, which I've also had the privilege to do through her career. So it really, the successes, I always say to Lejan, are not just about the win and about the trophy. I know that ultimately that's what they do because it's their job. But I said, if you think about the journey, where even to this point, you're not where you want to be in your golf, but if you look at the journey of where you've been from where you started, the people you've met, the places that you've been to, the experiences that you've had, wow, what a journey. I know. Most people don't get to do that in their entire lives.
Yeah, like she's so good at a pro-am or any social anything at talking to people and finding out about them and all that. And I think that's a huge skill. And I think that advice to pass on to other players is invaluable.
Absolutely. I also agree that it's an invaluable thing.
Yeah, it's because they've, as a female golfer, they need to be looking at a plan B after their golfing career.
Sure,
like,
absolutely.
How can they translate
they
skills?
Most certainly do. Exactly. And also I think that your skill set can be, it doesn't just have to be about the golf, but I think that it can be in the golfing world somehow. And I believe that going to these pro-ams, and I know Lejan is really good about doing it, going to these pro-ams and not just appearing because you're a professional golfer, appear to be interested in people, find out about people, speak to them. And I must say, she's my daughter, and of course I'm very proud, and I'm always going to say how wonderful she is. But I'll put that feather in her cap for her. She is very good at networking, if we can use the word networking, going to a pro-am,
she's a great ambassador,
speaking to the people, that you are speaking to. Speak to people, ask them about their golf, because and in turn they show that interest back to you. And if there's ever a time when possibly you are out there looking for sponsorships, as golfers, athletes often have to do, if your name comes across their desk or wherever it might be, I remember I played with her at a golf day or at a pro-am, and I often get very good feedback and comments about how friendly she is, how open she is, and people like that. So I think you need to be an ambassador for yourself, and that's very important for any athlete. Be your own ambassador. You know, you want
just
sponsorships and people to take you on. You've got to show that you believe in yourself if you want other people to believe in you, you know.
Now,
So
just as a parent and talking about sponsorship, how much did you have to, okay, I spoke about sacrifices earlier and we never got into it. I'm sure as a family you had to sacrifice holidays. Financially, golf, it's not a giveaway sport.
It's not a giveaway sport at all, but I think the sacrifice was more before Lejan started playing golf. I mean, when she was sailing, which taught her a lot of discipline, sailing, and also playing provincial hockey and tennis. Those were the kind of things that I think financially were always, not I won't say struggle, but always you had to sort of save for or put away for. And fortunately, her father, her dad also sails, so he loved to be able to travel around the country when she was sailing. And obviously, when she went to the European Championships that I mentioned earlier on, we had to raise a loan for her to go and do that. Which, I mean, as a parent, you're so proud of them. You'll gladly do what you need to do. But yeah, I mean, we did have to do that. When it came to her golf, though, I actually can't really say that we sacrificed so much, because she got the golf scholarship herself. Sure, we had to provide the funds for her to get to America, and we had to financially send her, you know, some funds each month. But had she been in South Africa studying, we would have paid for her studies there. So, but in terms of she got a full scholarship. She maintained that. She had to keep her marks up, her school work up, or university work up, as well as just playing to keep that scholarship going, which she did. And she raised sponsorships, whether it be for shoes or for clothing. She really went off. If I have to, I mean, I'm not just saying it, but, you know, she honestly did do that. She managed to secure most of those things all on her own.
Yeah. So she's got this like want. And doesn't have a victim mentality. It's like, if I need it, I'm going to go and look for it. Yeah.
She's going to go and look for it. The sacrifice for us, I would say, is more that time, because that's the thing. I mean, from the time she left school, she went to the States. She studied there. We saw her a couple of times a year. That's where your big sacrifice comes in. You know, some parents are not prepared to let their children go because they will miss them. And boy, do you miss them. You do.
Of course you do.
Absolutely. Her birthdays. I mean, even her 21st birthday, she wasn't at home for her 21st birthday. Most years, Lejan is on tour for her birthday.
It's a selfless act of the parent, isn't it?
Yeah. You have to be prepared to give that time up with them. But the sacrifices, and compared to what you see them achieving and doing, for me, that outweighs. When I do see her, when she is at home, yes, then I make up for the time that I've missed out on, you know. So it's also not easy for them. They're away from, I've still got my other two daughters at home, or my friends or family around me. They're sacrificing everybody to go and do what they need to do.
So now I'm going to ask you, your other girls.
Yes.
How do they emotionally deal with having somebody, and I don't want to say on a pedestal, but who was shooting the lights out, whatever she touched?
Sure. That's always kind of, for me, been a bit, I'm very close to all my girls. So for my relationship with them, it always kind of helps. But I've always, sometimes at the back of my mind, you might be saying, oh, well, you're putting Lejan up there. How are they coping?
Spending money on them.
Yeah. And I must say, her sisters have also been always very invested and excited about her career as well, because so we kind of share it as a family. But for me as a mom, I have been sort of consciously aware of, you know, it's Lejan, and you don't want it to be seen you've got a favorite child. I mean, because that comment absolutely, if anything, makes my blood boil. That does. I actually had somebody teasing me once and saying, oh, she's your blue-eyed girl. And I said, I've got 3 blue-eyed girls. Thank you very much. And they're all successful girls in their own rights. They really are. And
yeah, but sometimes
but you are conscious of that, though. You are conscious that the one is getting a lot of the limelight.
Time.
Sure. But I do see that now the switch is coming a little bit, because her younger sister obviously has now just finished her, I think you may have met Skylar. She has recently finished her degree, and she's into the fashion world, and she's already making very good strides as a 22-year-old. She's doing some amazing things already. So her lights are shining. And my eldest daughter, I feel very blessed because I think they've all got they're all very talented girls. She, when she was younger, she was going to dance and act, and she actually was accepted into quite a well-known theatre school in Cape Town in South Africa. And she had the opportunity to go there, and we would have assisted her with that, but she chose not to. She chose not to do that, and you know what? That's okay. Her path in life is different. She's now a mom. I've got 2 amazing grandsons who are my heartbeat, my absolute heartbeat. So she's an amazing mom. She's an amazing daughter. So I just feel so blessed, and I don't feel in any way that she hasn't been as successful as Lejan has been. I'm obviously speaking as a mom.
I want to ask you, because that's interesting. You're talking about extreme personality types, as in the high performance personality types. You've got Lejan as a high performance personality type. Yes. Your arts child will also be like that, where it's lots of discipline, lots of sacrifice, lots of dedication.
Sure.
Then Skylar, in the fashion industry, it's also like she seems to be very talented in it. That's the
and
feedback
very focused, and very focused on what she wants to do within that as well, you know. Whereas Jamie is more like the maternal. She's sometimes I recognize more of myself in her, you know.
Okay. Yeah. My question is that with all the highs comes lows.
Sure.
And so I've had to manage some of Lejan's lows, help her through managing some sticky feelings and that. And so, like, as a parent, how do you try and get them to a place of harmony? What's not extremely high, so they're not pushing really hard, and then it's not extremely low either. Trying to get a happy balance of just normality, because their lives wouldn't have. Well, Lejan's life isn't normality. It's not a normal.
No, absolutely not. It's absolutely not. It's just to try and, because she travels such a lot, is to always say, you know what, and because you're a professional athlete, you're traveling all the time. I mean, she has not really got her own home set up as such. So it's just to let her know, you know what, wherever I'm in, doesn't matter where I am in the world, that is your home. Your home is with us, with your people. To make sure that they've got that place that they can just come and let go of all of that. Let go of everything else and just be. And every now and again you have to do that. You have to take a break, and it's okay. Like in Lejan's case, she'll go surfing, or and I encourage them to take that time out. Take that time out and just do something else. And something, because you know, when they are so focused and so on achieving their goals, which is wonderful, is to say to them, you must have your goals. It's important to have them, but don't let them define you. I think is something important, is like I'll say to Lejan, yes, you want to achieve a certain thing in golf, and that's great, and you go after that with all that you want to, all that you can, go after it. But at the end of the day, it's Lejan and then golf. It's not golf and then Lejan. You know,
I really love that. That is such amazing advice. Don't let your sport define you, because
and I've had to tell her. Well, that's the thing, and I've had to say that to her quite a bit in the last couple of years, when there's disappointments and there's so forth. Say, well, you know what? Yeah, it's not great. Yeah, you wanna just scream, you want to just shout because you've got disappointment, and do it. Scream and shout and throw your toys out the car or whatever you got to do. But as you always just try and remember that it's Lejan and then the golf. It's not or a specific sponsorship that you didn't get,
success or career.
They're not going to define your success. But you know, like as I'll say to Lejan, you know, you started off just there by yourself. I remember there was a time when Lejan she would say to me, I mean, we didn't always have an abundance of money when they were growing up. We always had enough to pay their education and do whatever they needed to do, but they weren't spoilt. We weren't in a position to spoil them. So she would maybe go to the range and they would be hitting balls, and she'd say, I can't believe it. So-and-so's got another new pair of golf shoes on today, and they've got another new putter, or they've got this and they've got that. And Jean, in the beginning, she'd have the pair that she would practice in, and she'd have a pair that for tournaments. Well, if I can tell you now, my house is always
full of golf
inundated
shoes.
With golf shoes. And when I say this, I don't mean this in an arrogant way, but not ones that she's had to pay for or I've had to pay for. She's been sponsored those shoes, or, so I said to her, but remember, you started off with one pair. You started off with two pairs. And it's you, Lejan, the person who's managed to get to the point where you've got more than enough golf shoes. So
you see, you're a wise mum. And you know what? I
it's
really think that your spiritual journey helps with this, because I know your past few years have been tough. And I think
we've had a tough 2 years, but we are hopefully through the darkest days, but I mean, obviously you're still going to have dark days, no matter what you do in life. You're going to have dark days, and it's okay. It's
but
it's choosing whether to wallow in the dark.
Hats off to you as a solid parent, that
thank you,
that she has you, that your girls have you, and then just make sure that you get self-care.
Yes, absolutely.
That you looked after.
I think as a mama, your joy and your love tank gets filled up when you see them being successful. So that always helps me. Yeah.
But Kim, I want to say thank you so much for your time and your invaluable information that you can share with other mums and dads.
Sure, absolutely.
Coaches,
and thanks to you. Thanks to you for all your insight and your doing this, because I think it helps the athletes and families and so forth out there to just get as much knowledge as possible.
Yeah,
and experiences as possible. So thank you too. Great. Thanks.
So this is the third podcast in the series. And if you'd like to send a message to the podcast or to be included in future podcasts, please send a message to my Instagram at Beat It with Joe. That's BEET_with Joe. This podcast is free, and you can support it by subscribing to the YouTube Beat It with Joe channel. You can also support by subscribing and sharing this podcast on social media platforms. This Beat It podcast is for general purposes only and does not constitute the practice of psychology, psychiatry, dietetics, or other health professionals. Thank you for listening.